but if you go at it with if you're going at it with any type of transparency, authentic, an authentic
Authenticity. Mhm.
language, then I think that you might want to come at it from a different standpoint.
Can I chime in too? I agree with some aspects of what Joshua has said, and I want to go back to what I said in the beginning was it depends on the industry that you are
Exactly.
working in. I don't think that this works across the board. Um, like some nonprofits maybe shouldn't use this type of
Right.
AI get their um, to get their mission across because it's supposed to tap into the heart of individuals. But if you are in IT or in some other industry, it might deem that you are on your game and beyond your game, and it would work and it could show your variety of what you can do with the bot. So you can make it speak Spanish and or you can make it do whatever you want to. So I do
Mhm.
agree with what Joshua said, but and then adding that it's not across the board. I don't feel like everybody should use it.
And I agree with what Joshua was saying because my next statement was, now if this was something I was going in to meet with the company, then yes, I may have a problem with that. When I get there, no one looks like,
Right.
yeah, but
Uh-huh.
that's not, this is just conveying information. And like Idella says, it depends on what it is you're doing. You couldn't, I'd be mad if you were trying to sell me something like butter, which is a black product for black people. Um, and then I get there and I find out that this really isn't a black company. That would be a problem. But
Mhm.
for conveying information, I don't have a problem with it.
I mean, Chris, we really don't need AI for this. I mean, I think last year or 2 years ago, I did. I don't know how widespread this was known, but the guy who was selling Victoria's Secrets, not was it Victoria's Secrets or somebody? Come, I don't know. Don't quote me on who it was, but come to find out, that was an old white guy. And who know? I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? And not that I shopped those products, but he wasn't using AI. And then to hit home recently, this guy, I went to a meeting and he offered to make me an AI video for my product. I'm gonna come out here to make me a video for my business. And when I saw the video, I didn't like it. And I did not like it because it felt generic. It felt, it looked like AI. It didn't
Mhm.
feel, to use that word, authentic. It didn't feel like me. Um, it felt processed and manufactured. And he was like, "Oh, you can use it." And I just kind of let him. I would not use it because it was not something that I felt comfortable putting out to the market. Um, it wasn't clean. It's not something I would want to put my name behind because of the things that I saw in the video. Um, and I feel like AI, and maybe it had to do maybe with his skills. I don't know. And sometimes when I see people who are using clones, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the mouth. I'm looking at maybe the
Are they
hands. I'm looking
blinking?
at certain things about it. And I hear that um, expediency. I hear we don't have to clean up. I get that the professionalism. I understand why we're doing it. Um, and I'm trying to get myself there too, but I'm not all the way there yet. Um, because it doesn't speak to me um in that way yet.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get there, but I'm not there yet. If
So
that
there's
makes
some
sense.
ethical issues behind it, and
Mm-hmm.
and you always want to be sure that you're looking at the ethics of it, addressing the things that Beverly is talking about. But I used Sora to
Mm-hmm.
create a video
Mm-hmm.
that was targeted to young African American females with young children, 0 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what I wanted to convey was a family environment, and that this program was made for them, and all of that. And all my images were of African American family type things, but there was voice over text. Not, is that what I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to say? There was
Mhm.
voice over text over video. Yeah, it was a voice over.
Mhm.
They weren't speaking. So that's a whole different
Mm-hmm.
way to convey that. I give you images, but I'm giving you the words that coincide with what the company's
Mm-hmm.
vision, mission is. And I think for a short 10-second video, that worked for
Mm-hmm.
us. And we didn't have the money to spend to have actors,
Right.
do all of that. We just wanted to send a message, sign up now. The call to action was sign up now.
And you
So,
know
Mhm.
what? And I've had social media people that's made things for me too. I don't want to sound um I don't know, 40, whatever the word is, that's made things for me. Using some of these things that I don't know how to do.
hmm
Uh-huh, that I saw, oh wow, that's so pretty.
hmm
And it just kind of blew my mind, like, oh wow, that's
that
interesting
we could
that
do
they
that.
took a picture and could make me look like I was looking at a flower or whatever the heck the video made me do.
hmm
Yeah, it was very fascinating. And I'm still thinking about that. So yeah, right. I know what you mean. And it sounds
Yeah,
beautiful what you did. So I know exactly what you mean and
yeah.
what you're trying
Tyler
to do.
Perry, for example, said that he was going to build more studios in Atlanta until he saw Sora. And he
Mm,
decided he would keep the number of studios he had
mm-hmm.
and move on from there because he
Yeah,
felt like Sora
right,
was going to make a difference in what was going on and
right.
how he did certain
Yeah,
things.
yeah, yep.
So is it, do you think Sora is really going to make a difference?
Um, Today it's on the edge of being able to present that type of reality, but probably so.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Why do you think I showed you that video? What was I trying to do?
I
Open the
think you were
conversation.
attempting to create dialogue and conversation around what are the possibilities of what AI can be and expand our thought process and get us thinking in an ethical direction, but at the same time, seeing how we can use and leverage it to build what we want to build and create what we want to create, and also, take some of the parameters that we might have around our own mindsets and thinking and tap it to a different way of which we could, leverage this tool.
Mhm. If you're, so I'll give you my 2 cents for what it's worth. My opinion on it is that I think that it depends, right? That's a typical
hmm
consultant's
Mm-hmm.
answer, right? Um, you know, I do not, I, like many of you, are not comfortable with not necessarily it being AI generated, but in representing that I am something that I'm not, because that disillusionment, right? That the dealing with the emotions when you think you're talking to one person and you find out you're talking to somebody else, that for me is a problem, especially when you're trying to get people to follow you, to you know, consider coming on board with you. You know, I don't believe in misrepresenting myself. I'm and I was early on, I was like, oh, this is cool. I can put this out here, and I've got some videos out on YouTube that are explainer videos. So I'm not asking for money or anything, but they're explaining some topics, and I'm using avatars that are, one is an African American, another one is a Latino gentleman, right? And at the end of the day, I think it's okay for that. I think it's okay for me to use training videos, for example, not the sales side, but the actual explainer side. I think it's okay if you're trying to get a message across that is just for their benefit. You're educating them. I don't think it's okay for me to go on there and say, "Hi, I am Shelly," and da 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 da, and it be that image you saw, right? Because I don't think it's. I think it's a dis. I think it's a. I think I'm misleading people, right? I think I'm representing myself as something I'm not, and I really believe that, you know, if, and I've seen this play out, right? I've seen this play out where I've gone into a room and not been what everybody expected, and then by the end of it, by the end of that session, or by the end of that series of sessions, it didn't matter, right? It was just purely getting past that the initial impression, right? Here's this old white guy coming into this room, and he's going to talk to us about da 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 da, right? So how do you break down those barriers? Well, that's a whole different conversation. I'm trying to get you to think about, what are you comfortable with? Because I'll tell you, there are people out there today that are comfortable, would be comfortable putting that kind of video out and asking you to sign up and spend $50 a month, right? And so, but there's no laws against it. That's the other standpoint, right? There's no laws against it. There's no rules against it, other than your morality, right? What are you willing to do when you when you use a tool like that? What is it capable of? Now that particular tool, Synthesia, has the ability, I'm trusting you guys can all still see my screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trusting that you can, when you use it, let me see if I can find one. Let me see if I can get this one up. Come on. So I can go in with this, right? And it will go through, create a preview for you. Now, it's not going to move my lips, but it'll simulate my voice.
It limits access to technology and essential digital skills, creating barriers to opportunities and growth.
So that's me talking, right? It's a digital clone of me talking. I'm okay with this. I'm okay using it this way because as somebody mentioned, right, you have to go out there and you got to put makeup on and get lighting right and all that stuff. And that's expensive, especially for a small business owner or an entrepreneur who doesn't really have time for that, right? You're swamped with other things. If you don't get things right, or somebody looks at it and goes, you said this wrong, in this kind of tool, I can go in and change it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm okay with that. I'm not okay if I went in here and replaced this avatar. And by the way, I'm kind of also killing two birds with one stone here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not okay if somebody goes in and replaces the avatar, right? And has the avatar be, let's see if it'll replace it. There you go. So yeah, so it replaced me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not comfortable with it being that way.
And you're the
so
one speaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I can go in and make it his voice too. I can make it a different voice.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question. What
Feel
is
free to fire away.
What is the difference in, so I deal with a lot of nonprofits and have for over 20 years, and they send out a end of year or middle of the year a photo of a kid that they have helped and ask for a donation. What would be the difference in that and photo, because it's digital?
Because if I were showing an image of a kid I helped at one of the local high schools, right? Or a kid I helped at Eastern Star Church, I would go ahead. I would be okay showing that as something I'm doing. It's different to show it, in my opinion, it's different to show an outcome than it would be to show than it is to change avatars and represent who you're not.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's getting that misrepresentation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm getting at misrepresentation, but I also want you to understand and think about, what are you going to do? What are you comfortable with? What makes sense for you as you go forward, right? If I have a generic business where I am providing training videos and people are going into Udemy or Coursera or Gumroad or someplace like that, right? And they're buying a course, I'm once they buy the course, I'm okay with it being an avatar, right? But if I'm out there trying to sell, I'm not okay. And that's kind of the boundaries I've made for myself. But you get, it's a whole different thing, but I'm trying to get you to realize that it depends, right? It really depends on what your ethic values are. I've had people in my classes who've said, I will never use that kind of tool. Okay, right? I get that, right? We all have to make our decisions and live with our decisions. And I'm just, all I'm trying to do is, as you go forward, you're going to have to think about what you feel comfortable with. Are you comfortable with AI writing a blog post and then you just copy and paste it? I'm not. Some people are. Are you comfortable with it creating a video for you to use, right? A video of a person talking that is different than what you are? No, you may not be comfortable with it. I might be comfortable with this if I'm in Opower, right? Because I work in a not-for-profit and I don't portray that to be me, I would be okay with that, right? Because our company I happen to be I'm one of the few people that's not of African origin, right? But I'm still comfortable because that's who we're selling it for. But if I'm doing it for myself, right, it's I view it as misrepresenting myself. And so in essence, I've got a PowerPoint deck that kind of goes through all this, right? But in essence, what I found is that if we have a better experience in talking about this, it's more thought provoking. If rather than listen to me pontificate about ethics and AI, we talk about it. So I want you to spend a couple minutes let's have a couple minutes, let's say 3 minutes of quiet time. And what I want you to do is think about what we've talked about so far, and think about, what are you comfortable with? What are you not comfortable with? And what do you not, you don't know about, you don't know if you're comfortable with, right? I want you to think about those as we go in, because part of what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a couple tools, and I want you to keep that in mind as we go forward. So let's spend 3 minutes just thinking to ourselves about where we're at with that. All right. So hopefully you've thought about it, you've got some ideas. So let's now talk about this product, right? And this is one example. And part of what I'm trying to do too is, just to go back to the ethics side of things, right? Is that if you're going to be a master trainer and be effective, you have to be able to get to resonate with people's emotions, right? And so one of the things I like to do is, especially, and it's hard to do virtually, but still try to do it, is you try to provide those thought-provoking questions. And when you provide those thought-provoking questions, hopefully you've thought about it yourself. So when somebody asks you, you can talk about it, right? You can talk about it more passionately when you understand it. And I've had the luxury of this is the 5th time I've talked about this topic where, I've had to go through and think about it myself, right? And my position, I should also mention, my position has changed over time. It changes the more I think about it, the more I see the impact, right? One of the things that is a challenge for people is we make decisions on stuff, and if we don't feel the impact, we don't really know whether we made a good decision or not, right? Well, it may be good for us, but maybe it hurts somebody else. And if we don't see that, then that's a problem. And so I've had the opportunity to think about things and to be challenged and my position has moved a little bit. It hasn't moved from the misrepresentation side, but I started out thinking about, okay, is this okay in a training course? Is it okay for me to do that? Is it okay for me to do an explainer video to a kid if I'm trying to get the kid to pay attention because he doesn't know me, right? I haven't broken down those barriers yet. So my position's moved a little bit. Your position will move a little bit as you go through and as you consider it, as you think about it, as you do it, right? Beverly's been up front with us and said up front, I'm not sure, I'm not completely with this yet, right?
Mhm.
That's okay. It's important, and I don't want to get too philosophical here, but it's important that you understand I'm not okay with this, right? Or maybe I'm not there yet, because your negative response, if you've thought about it, right? If you haven't thought about it, when somebody broaches you, you're like, oh no, da 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 da. But as you've had time to think about it, right, you're going to be able to give a better answer in terms of interacting with that other person because you've had an opportunity to think about it. When we jump,
Can,
go ahead.
I know if you're a coach and you have different clients or you're bringing in a variety of people to potentially train, I just think of it as different. Like your mind has to be open to everybody. So I don't, so I guess it just depends. And I'm just talking this out through, just out loud. But I guess at this point, you're determining what type of trainer or what type of provider you're going to be because, or what you're going to do or accept or provide for people so I want to be AI trainer. I feel like that I I will not um like deter people from these different things because I'm not ready or I guess to be ready. I was trying to talk through the whole process because yes, I'm looking at it from different lenses of okay, yeah, this may not be acceptable for my thing, but if I have a client, like they may love it. And so I'm gonna offer it and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do.
and I want to make a distinction too. So I want to be clear too. I said that I wasn't ready yet, and I have paid people who've used it for me too. So, and I saw it, Idella, and was like, oh wow. And I had to get ready because it was already out there on LinkedIn, and it just kind of blew my mind. So I want to make that distinction at the same time. And I use AI a lot, and so this is a moving target.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This
I
is
do.
a moving target. I am building the plane as I'm going along with it.
yep. And
Sorry
just
about
note
that.
my statement wasn't directed.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I know.
So
I'm not
I,
working with you.
I,
right, and I
Idella,
know Beverly and I'm a business coach and she was one of my
Yeah.
people, but so I know
I,
where she's coming from, but I just was like, I was just trying to run that through my head,
Me
like,
too.
I,
Me
okay,
too.
Idella,
yeah.
I love your name because that's one of my favorite aunt's names.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you two examples.
Okay.
Okay. The first one is what brings us to where we are today. And it was June of 2007. And it was a lie. The iPhone told the internet, I'm a desktop. And that changed the whole landscape. Because prior to that, a phone was something that you talked on. It wasn't a computer in your pocket. And so we got here technologically where we're at from a lie. So, and using AI, I teach my students how to use AI responsibly, so to speak. Because innovation, if you go back and look at them, there were the naysayers, whether it's the light bulb, whether it's the internet, computers, there's always people who can point out all the bad things that it's going to do for us.
Right.
But look at all the good that comes from it. And you can't, do people use light bulbs for bad things? Yes, they do. But that doesn't take away the goodness of the light bulb. Do people use cell phones for bad things? Yes, they do, but that doesn't take the goodness of the technology. Technology is given to us to help enrich us. It's a tool. If you look at carpenters 100 years ago, everything was done by hand. And slowly we've brought in power tools. Now, not only do they have power tools, but they're battery operated power tools, so you don't even need a cord. And that's evolution. So we're part of this evolutionary journey. It's not so much, and the ethics of it, you have to pick and choose. You know, everybody has what they will and won't do. And if something doesn't sit well with you, you can't do it. Doesn't mean that someone else isn't going to do it. It's just not what you're comfortable with. And that's
okay.
we're talking about the ethical and responsible use of technology. Not saying, well, I'm gonna use this technology to crack code so I can get into safes and vaults and stuff like that. People do it every day. Doesn't take away from all the technology that we have at our hands. It's a tool. Because when it's used properly, AI can take your thoughts, help you organize them, and then, as we talked about yesterday, humanizing them, which means you take what the AI gave you and you put yourself back into it and you change it so it works for you.
Yeah, I want to add something with that. This is Sinead. Hi, everyone. I mean, the whole thing about the approach that when we're dealing with a lot of different clients is to look at the softness of what this can do. What can it help benefit? Because like Martin was saying, even if you think about the credit card or the debit card, everybody had reservations on using that. Like, I'm not going to put my money on a card. I'm not going to swipe a card, let someone get my information off a card. And now we use a watch to get our money off of. We cash out, we send people money. So the evolution of what we're doing right now is that we're in the minute of it. We're involved in it. And we happen to be available to teach others behind us how to navigate the change that's happening already. So in this space, you're on the right, I call it, ship to be on, because we're working together to help navigate how we have to communicate to different people, different messages as it relates to the benefit of technology that can enhance their overall performance as an individual and help them elevate their mind using tools available instead of toys. So like, hey, this is a tool that can help me advance who I am. So that's kind of how I'm looking at the softness of how to approach AI to those clients who may not understand. But if you take the example, even like I said, the credit card, the debit card, a lot of older people, younger people, everyone think about it anymore. They just do it. So it's an evolution of how to get people comfortable using something that's going to evolve with us.
Yeah, I tried to stay out of the conversation, but you guys are preaching on the call today. But what I'm hearing, and is exactly what we are trying to do too, right? And what Shanita said is so on point. If you were sitting down in a room full of teachers from a local small charter school, that the test scores have shown that last year they had half their third grade class got held back.
Mm.
And you're trying to teach them how to use AI to be more productive as teachers. You know, their days are full, long days, stress, but they still got to communicate with parents. They still got to create material, videos that look like the kids they serve, right? And create content in a way that they could never do it before. Today, the school isn't teaching them that. So as community members, the master trainers are the ones that can go into their local charter school and say, hey, you know what, we want to host a class with parents and teachers just to teach how to do this, as an example, right? But it's also something that can happen or not happen, because the master trainer can say, if they pay me, I'll do it. Or we can just do it because we're democratizing access. So I think part of what all of this is about is, how do we take a technology that is almost getting old, is no longer really new, but it's still new, but help make a community more productive.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the community from subgroups, the whole. So I think yes, the other day we talked about citizens, opportunity youth. Marion County is going to graduate 15,000 high school students every year they do, right, across Marion County. What percent of that 15,000 has learned how to use the tool they're going to use for the rest of their life? Right? We got people who are 55, 60, getting older in our community that know, okay, they got to retire, but they got to keep making money. Right? So all of these things are happening in a community. So when we say Black community, when there's no predominantly Black, but the predominantly Black community, where it's just mostly Black folks that live there, is low income. Right? So when we look at that and say, how do we teach people how to use this tool to be more productive and not just use it as consumers?
Right.
Right. So what's going to change in a lot of areas? What's going to change with the 30,000 opportunity youth? Plumbing classes. They're not going to take electrician classes. They're not taking construction. All those things are there for them. But if they can use this tool to make some money, well, who's going to teach them the tool? They're not going to Ivy Tech to go take a class. Ivy Tech doesn't have a master trainer. So all of these things, right, is like, how do we use AI to be more productive? But how do we engage people? But for everyone on the call too, I think Chris did this with the last group, was how do you use AI to be better at what you already do? So if you've been doing something for 20 years and you went to school for it, getting AI and changing everything, but if I'm already doing this, how can I use this tool to laser focus at being better at what I do? So one of the examples that we can use, because we've trained, is most of y'all know Joy. Joy does Six Sigma. She added AI. Once she finished the class, she added AI. She's doing training for indie chamber members. She's added that to her Six Sigma. You know, so AI has made her earnings more, right? Which we want to do, but we also want her training more people at the community level. So anyways, I'm just listening to y'all, everything everybody was saying was so fire. I just wanted to, but I think that's the power of this class that we love so much, and really love the way Chris does it, because it's not talk at you, right?
Right.
But just this conversation alone is so rich. But that's the whole goal, is at the end of the day, we're trying to democratize access in a specific community, but you can't do it. Chris can't do it by himself. It's possible with the skills to go out and do it, but they're just not doing that. You're also using what you're learning today, what you learn in automation, what you learn in agents, and applying it to what you do, so you become more productive. Because we want you making money so you could come back and keep training people for free.
Yeah.
So sorry about that.
No, it's actually
No,
good.
that
This
was
is
great.
because just to even add some more. This is Shanita again. It's all it's a real movement towards moving our communities faster. And when I saw this opportunity for the Northwest Indiana, Michigan City area, I really went to Emil like, hey, I said, I think I can do something with this to bring us together so we can accelerate our community, because I felt like we've been in a stagnant space as far as opportunities come and they kind of go and they pass us and we stay stuck like a community like Gary. It seemed like it's stuck trying to birth itself. And I believe that we put the right people in front of the region, we can accelerate everyone's brain power. Like, oh my God, I didn't know I was able to think or do this because I never had the tools. Like, we always think about what we don't have. What AI is going to help, I know me do, and our team do, is help them accelerate their mind and their dreams, so that within it, you have a tool that can help coach them themselves by when they learn how to navigate and use it. So that's the power of what I believe in this dimension of where we are right now, how we are being empowered to help other people become empowered. through their own creativity and learning space.
So I'm going to go ahead and I went and dug up a graph and I put it on the screen, right? So when we talk about ethics and we're talking about, when I'm speaking to it, I'm speaking to where are you in terms of adopting technology, right? And as folks that are going to proceed forward, hopefully, and become certified master trainers, this is a concept I was planning on covering in January, but I think it's appropriate to cover it right now. And that is how do people embrace technology, right? You've got the crazy people, the ones over on the left that we call innovators, right? To give you an example on those are the crazy idiots in 2007 that were sleeping outside the Apple store in January in the freezing weather so they could get the first copy of the iPhone. And let me tell you, it was not, they were people that were buying into the myth, right, of Steve Jobs and Apple. They were buying into that, right? And they just want to try new things. They want to break the mold. And so they're willing to take things that don't work very well and use them and help be a part of that. And then as the iPhone rolled out and they made some improvements, right, we got to the early adopters, right? Those are the people that do things that are kind of the trendsetters, right? Today we call them influencers. They're the people that everybody kind of looks to say, ooh, I should have an iPhone. Look what I can do with it, right? To Martin's point, the people are starting to understand that they've got a computer in their pocket. And then the chasm there, depending on how you want to say that, the chasm is really that, how do you make it into that more momentum? Do we get enough people in those first two phases to really continue to push it? Once you get into that, start getting into the you start getting in the early adopters, then you start looking at the early majority. These are the cool kids, right? These are the ones that are going to go, and they're the ones that are going to follow those trendsetters. Ooh, I saw that such and such had an iPhone, and it was really cool. I'm going to go do that myself. They're not willing to take something that doesn't work. They're going to take something that works pretty well, right? And they recognize they can see the vision for it, right? They can start seeing how this could be useful to the masses. And then, you go through that and you start getting into where you get momentum, right? You start talking about things going viral and people moving forward. The late majority are those folks that are waiting for the price of the iPhone to come down, right? They're waiting. They're not going to pay $800 over the course of 2 years for an iPhone. It's just not worth it to them, right? But when you drop it, when the price drops, yeah, I'll take it, right? I won't buy it when it's at Macy's or when it's at a major department store, right? But when it hits Target, I'm there with you, right? When it hits Walmart, I'm there with you, right? And that's the late majority. And then the laggards, right? The laggards are the folks that are the last to adopt technology, and they're and they may never adopt that technology. And the example I'll use is my father. My father is 88 years old, contrary as hell, and he had, until 2 years ago, he still had a flip phone, right? He had a flip phone, and he's like, it does what I need it to do. I don't need to do anything else. When I talked to him about his contact list, hey, we can put even the flip phone, we can put your contacts in there. You don't have to remember them. He goes, I don't need it. He reaches in, he pulls out his wallet that's about this thick. Tell me if I'm, smile if you know somebody like this, right? They got a wallet this thick with all their credit cards and all this stuff in it, right? They carry big wads of cash around. And he opens his wallet and he pulls out his laminated contact list that is a piece of paper that he wrote everything out and my mom laminated it for him, right? So when he needs to call somebody and he wants to call Fred, he looks up that list and there's Fred's number and he keys it in, right? Those are the laggards, right? Those are the last people to adopt. Where do you think you all are? That's a rhetorical question, right? Most people, when we talk about technology and the underlying ethics and things like that that go with it, right? Most people will tell you or suggest to you that they're an innovator or an early adopter. I was doing some work with the Department of Child Services here in Indianapolis, right? State government. And I put this graph up on the wall on a piece of easel paper. And I had people go and take dots and put where they think they were, right? Are you an early adopter? Are you an early majority? Are you an innovator? Most of the dots, believe it or not, were in the early adopter and the early majority categories, right? Mind you that these are people that were fighting me tooth and nail because they had done their work the same way for 35 years and they didn't think they needed to change it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I figured out from this is that adoption and how you use it is on your terms, not my terms. I think everybody should be using AI today for everything they do, right? Because I've been in it for 2 years and I see all the benefits. I'm going to pick on Beverly because she's on my screen. Beverly may say, hey, I'm with you, Chris. I'm going with you. Yeah, let's go. Kathleen might be a little bit more reserved in how she adopts it. She might not be a little afraid of the technology, right? And Emil's next on my screen, right, as I'm looking at Zoom. Emil may say, you know what? I don't need that stuff. I don't want to use it. I'm going to go home, and he'll go home and he'll use his Alexa or he'll use Siri on his phone, right? But he's not going to do that AI stuff, right? People are at different spots. And so one of the things we need to understand is that we're all at different places, right? Every one of you comes in here at a different spot, right? Jerry was in here as sat through 4 out of 6 sessions we did in October, and she's back for more, right? Because she's at a different spot with AI adoption than maybe, Idella is, or maybe where Shanita is, right? And so as trainers, and as you're thinking and talking about this technology and helping people, remember this graph, keep this picture in your head, because it's important that you remember that not everybody is going to adopt it as quick as you do. Not everybody's going to accept it. Not everybody's at the same spot. You may run into people who don't know what a Google Doc is. I mean, I wouldn't think that was something that, I would think most people would understand what a Google Doc is. We've had people in these classes that don't know what a Google Doc is going in. They're in a different spot, right? That doesn't mean they're behind. Doesn't mean they're not capable. It just means they're at a different spot, and we have to figure out a different way to help them, right? And as we talk about ethics, right? And I sorry, Beverly, I keep picking on you, but we're all at different spots, and we all adjust and accept it and move at different rates, right? In the adoption of technology, in the adoption of anything, right? This same curve works for a lot of different things. You all have to figure out where you're at in this. And then as you're training people, where are the various people in my class at, right? Where are they at with it? And my goal, is to get you to the left. I don't want you to be an innovator, but I certainly want you to be right there as an early adopter, right? Somebody who is going out there and has that open mindset. And if you have that open mindset, not just for this class, but if you carry that mindset forward, you're going to be great, right? You're not going to have issues.
Okay, that leads me to a question. Are there some assumptions to be made about us being in this class and the people who have taken you guys' classes so far about where we sit on this? Could we be seeing as early adopters, early majority, I guess in general, or as to AI in specifically?
Can I answer that, Chris?
Yeah, go ahead.
It depends because
Mhm.
right now you might say, well, no, I'm not an early adopter. But in 3 years, yes, you will be an early adopter because you will be bringing other people along with you. So to
Mhm.
somebody you meet in 3 years from now, you're an early adopter. But for
Mhm.
somebody who's been working with this for the last 3, 4, 5 years, you're just getting on the train. So as you move down on the journey, when you move down the road on the journey, you kind of move into that early adopters category because you're bringing more and more people on. Everybody you bring on board is going to look at you as an early adopter. Does that make sense?
And
I know.
I'll
This is a
just
journey.
build on that.
Mhm.
Yeah, let me just build on that. The fact that you showed up for this class, right? It tells me that you have the mindset that you want to be an early adopter, right? Because there are people that have had opportunities to sign up for this class and have signed up, and life gets in the way. Maybe they're bored, maybe they just did it because somebody talked them into it and they drop. Right? The fact that you're in day 3 of this journey, and the fact that most of you, I hope, will be going forward to become certified master trainers, that tells me that you're an early adopter, at least in this piece, right? Now, you can find that in your life, maybe in your professional life, you're an early adopter, and maybe in your personal life, maybe you don't, right? That's okay. I found that it depends on what we're applying this to and whether you see the benefit of it. But just taking that first step, in my opinion, puts you in the early adopter, right? You probably know already more than probably, I don't know, Emil may have a different opinion. I think you probably know more about AI right now than probably 95% of the population, right? Because we've talked about tokens, we've talked about large language models, we've talked about, we've talked about bias and ethics, we've talked about how do you do prompts, you've been out doing the exercises. You're light years ahead of a lot of people.
Mhm.
Right?
Okay, I was just curious. Yeah, thank you.
Chris,
Yeah.
I'd like to add a little comment. And the thing that's very interesting for me is that we've been using this so all along anyway.
Oh yeah, and I've been using it for
But
years.
as
Yeah.
I was using it, because I mean it's on our computers, it's there, and when you're Googling something, it's AI. They just identify it now. They didn't identify it before as AI.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's being identified. So all of the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I was using before, and what's really interesting, and we talked about that earlier as well. I my understanding of what AI really is was, kind of skewed by what we've heard in the media, and oh, this is this evil thing that's coming in and it's taking over, and so when I got into the class, I came in with such skepticism, but I needed to understand it because, as we said earlier, it's here. And I need to understand. And it's almost like anything else that we've ever done. There's the good and there's the bad side of it. So I wanted to understand the good side. And for me, I missed the 2 middle sessions before and didn't kind of get it. And so this week it's just flowed so much easier, making me understand, helping me to understand it. But I want to be able to be able to see how I can use this to, my benefit and for those
Mm-hmm.
around me. Didn't think that I wanted to even be an instructor, like, oh, how can I come in and do that part? But as I'm talking, as we've been going through it, I could probably do it. I'm an educator, so I know how to teach what I think people will can use and to help them be able to go through the same process of determining this. When that session we just had on the ethics part of that, and I can go in and see how this can benefit me. It can benefit the people that I deal with on a daily basis, and to help them to also to navigate through that. So it's interesting. It helps us to think through this, and I think we will be able to bring some honesty into it. We will be able to bring having some core values that we will be able to do.
Thanks
Thanks.
for those comments, Jerry. Did somebody else want to say something?
This is Martin.
Nope.
One thing that you guys have to learn to do is you have to believe what you read, teach what you believe, and practice what you teach. Those are the elements, those are the actions that we're doing. We're reading right now, and we're believing what we read. And then we're going to start teaching that to other people, but not teaching, but we also the way we go through our lives, so people see how we're ethically using this. Now, we can't stop somebody from doing something bad that wants to do something bad. You can never stop a rogue. But Jerry's a teacher. Like she said, I know how to teach. And now I know how to take this once as she's coming to understand the different aspects of AI. Blow out all the stuff you hear in the media, because now you guys hear when you hear those stories in the media, you can just you can wade through all the muck and mire and get to the meat and know whether they're telling you the truth or not about how this is used. And she can take that skill that she's going to pick up in this class, even though she was a little skeptical in the beginning. She's now understands how she can take her teaching training to apply it to this new technology that is going to move her forward within the IT world, within the world in general, and help other people beyond whatever her training as a teacher, whatever subject matter she taught. This is outside of that. And even people within her subject area, this classroom. So that's the beauty of this. It's such a broad, it's hard to get your brain around how big it is. And I've been in the IT world for almost 50 years. And so when I see stuff like this, I can get my brain around it because I've done it many times before. As a person I took my first programming class in the fall of 1977. And back then, if you weren't programming, you weren't doing nothing in the computer world. And most people had no use for what we were doing, but it was still affecting their lives. And now we see it come to the forefront where all this stuff is, we've been using this stuff all along. It's called the puppy dog sale. They let you take it home and work with it, and now it's part of your life without you even knowing it, and you're moving forward. And then people say, but it's no good. And you say, well, but you're using it already. Well, I don't like it. But whether you like it or not, it's here to stay.
Yep. Thanks for that, Martin. All right. So I got a few more things I want to talk about, right? So I've talked a lot about bias. It's kind of been woven throughout, right? And I wanted to show you this slide these slides, by the way, my partner Belanle will send those to you as soon as we're done. Sources of bias, right? We can have data, we can have flawed algorithms, we can have homogeneous teams, we can have unconscious prejudices, right? So I know we've talked about it a lot, but I wanted to just show you this one slide that was still in from the ethics standpoint, right? The one that amazes me is, there's nothing we can do about really the first, biased data, flawed algorithms, and unconscious prejudices. We all have biases, right? We all have them. But I think we got a lot of what we can do, and a lot of what will help us is if we get away from homogeneous teams, right? If we have a team of people that when we're building things, when we're doing things, if we have a team of people that is different, you're going to get a different perspective, right? And using my current experience as an example, right? Emil looks at things differently than I do. Belanle looks at things different than Emil and I both do, right? That diversity hopefully makes a better team, right? We end up doing a better job because of what we're doing, right? And so when we talk about bias, that gets built into the large language models, it comes from a team that pretty much looks like everybody else in the team, right? Has a similar background and has a similar perspective, right? So this is where bias comes from. And I wanted to share this with you because I think it's important as we're wrapping up. We're here in 45 minutes. We're going to be wrapping up for the holiday, for our holiday break. And I wanted to bring this up as part of the AI ethics and where bias comes from and those kind of things. You can read that in the PowerPoint. You can read that. You can read that. I want to highlight here continuous education, right? This is not the end of your journey. This is the start, right? You have made, because you're early adopters, you have got a big head start on a lot of people. You may have only been using AI really for the last 3 or 4 months. Other people have been using it for, 3 years. It's not a question of your quantity, it's the quality of what you're doing, right? And this is the opportunity for you to go in and make a fast start in how you use it, right? Because we're going to use it hopefully as part of this and the following sessions we're going to have in the new year. You're going to learn how to use it in ways that very few people right now are using, right? There's some people that are using that way, but a lot of people aren't. And so that is what we want to try I want you to try to focus on. This is the beginning of your journey, right? And we're all going to move at different paces. We're all going to learn different ways, but understand that to stay relevant, you're going to have to keep learning, right? And if you don't keep learning, you're going to fall into that laggard approach where it gets so far out in front of you, you can't do anything about it, right? So I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to also talk about transparency advocacy. We need to talk about being transparent. When you put something out that was created by AI, right? Did it create it, or was it you creating it and AI was assisting you? If Catherine goes out and creates a new policy for a school corporation, is the AI creating the policy, or is Catherine guiding that policy? Right? It depends, right? But I think it's important to say that, the fact that you're in this class, it tells me you care about quality, and you're not just going to take it and copy and paste it. You're going to look at it, you're going to review it, you're going to tweak it, you're going to run it through several iterations of it, right? And so it is, we want to be transparent about the fact that AI assisted us on this, right? We want to be transparent about how we're using AI. When I first started using Synthesia, I did not use it. I did not disclose that it was AI generated or AI assisted. I should have been doing that, right? I should have been doing that. And as I've thought more about it, as I've gone forward, it's like, okay, I should be doing this. I'm not doing it today. I don't want to mislead anybody. I don't want people to realize that that I don't want people to think that this is me, right? I had help. And so I want to document that. I want to be transparent because I think it's okay to use AI to help you, right? As a thought partner, as a copywriter. I mean, if I went out and took something and gave it to a copywriter, or I had a ghostwriter come in, right, to write my ebook, right? I would, you don't typically disclose those, but I think in this case, I think it's important to say that. I think it's important to tell people that. Yeah, there's some case studies out here, right? Let me go back one because I want to make sure that you have less. There we go. Previous.
Chris, can I ask you a question?
I could answer no, but go ahead.
Respect.
Go ahead,
Thanks.
Josh.
So when it comes down to, I've used AI assisted or to leverage some like LinkedIn posts that I make throughout the week. Is it necessary? So basically what I do is I take these full thought processes from meetings and to be able to communicate them in an effective way, also to communicate them in a way that draws attention, I leverage AI to assist me on how to write it, on how to take basically these thoughts and these ideas and these words that I have and put them out there. So when I post on LinkedIn, should I add like AI assisted when I'm taking like these are my thoughts and having AI assist me with them, or am I able to leave that to basically my own thought process? What is your thoughts on that? I mean,
What are you comfortable with? How much of it is AI and how much of it is AI assisting you? If it's you took meeting notes and right, and you took ideas that were yours and then used AI to help you mold those ideas and thoughts, right? And to format them and elaborate a little bit on them. And so if it's your thoughts and your ideas and you're using it to manipulate it, would you go or to massage it, would you say that you used Adobe Illustrator if you were creating an image based on your thoughts in your head? You might, depending on where you're trying to go, you might not. It depends on what you feel comfortable with. I don't have I know I'm not giving you a good answer here, but my opinion is that it depends. I put things out both ways.
We use software all the time, and we don't give credit to the software that I'm using what software I'm using. So I say like if you're a musician and you've created like you got these people that are on Spotify, and they're not people, their music is AI generated. And people are all of a sudden figuring, oh, they've been listening to this artist for 2 years and it wasn't a real artist. It was and they saw images of it, they saw all this stuff, but it was all AI generated. In that realm, yeah, I would say you need to kind of disclose something, but don't feel like, oh, I'm being unethical if I'm not saying I use this. I'm a board trained draftsman, but I also use AutoCAD, and so I don't put on my drawings AutoCAD generated. If you haven't, you'll know when you have to identify what you're doing. Like kind of like use kind of the same rules you would use for footnoting a research paper. That I would use that as my guide, whether it's Chicago Manual or whatever style you want to use. It's a footnote that you're talking about. Is a footnote required?
I don't agree with that per se, because AI is not just giving us something. We have to prompt it. And so it's our prompting and if I do extensive prompting, I just don't give basic, like I get to the details and then it kind of, puts the margins and things in there like I need. And so to me, I don't think I need to give AI a footnote or I don't need to tell people that it's AI because I didn't go into AI app and just cut and paste information. I had to 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 give me something, which is mine.
Look
And
at it
that's just
like,
me.
oh, go
That's the
ahead.
that's the humanization that we were talking about yesterday.
Right. And
It's a tool. Go ahead, Kathy.
I'm sorry, Martin.
No, go ahead.
And just so you know, Martin is the name of my chat GPT. I just, when I talk to it, it's Martin. So anyway, but I look at it like I was talking to somebody the other day and I was like, it is your secretary that you pay $20 a month for. You give it all your ideas and you tell your secretary, okay, can you go ahead and put that together and send that out to so and so and so and so because these are my ideas. I just want you to put it together in a letter but those are your ideas. Secretary went together, but she didn't come up with them by herself. She just put the sentences in order so that it made elements of style sense, Martin. So I think that was you that recommended elements of style. So
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it like that. Now, using video and stuff like that, yeah, maybe you don't want to misrepresent yourself and say this is really me. No, this is AI generated, but the content is mine. So if you were doing something like that on your LinkedIn, then I would say, yeah, maybe so. But other than that, those are your ideas. You put together this thought and created it so that other people could benefit from it, and you shared it with your LinkedIn audience. And so they're all going to get something from it, but that idea came from you. So that's kind of how I look at it.
The one instance where I would say you might want to tell somebody that you're using AI is if you're trying to attract people who are trying to employ people who know how to use AI. You're trying to catch their attention. Then you might want to say, okay, I'm using AI for this and talk more about it. But in general, not really, because you've been using it all along. Autocorrect, spell check, that's AI. And I'm a horrible speller. I love spell check. That was the best thing ever invented, if you ask me. But
and reporters invented that for Word.
Yeah.
Grammar check. And
Yep.
yeah, Word, all of that came from people who wrote for a living. That's how
Right.
Microsoft created that. So
yeah. So I mean, we're using this stuff. We don't have to worry about it. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, it depends on the amount you use it, right? And going to Kathleen's point, if you're writing an email and you're giving it all the information, it's just formatting it, yes. If you're copy and pasting, you probably should, right? If you are, I'm in a little bit different situation in that I am an AI zealot and I'm an advocate for human-centered AI and AI being your thought partner. So I'm telling people, I believe I should tell people, hey, this is AI generated. I used AI in this, right? Because my intent is to share with people how they can use it, how they can benefit from it. So all this great conversation is just validating the reason why I had this in the first place, right? Everybody's got their own opinions, and you have to come to grips with where you're at right now and what you're willing to do. also want to take you to some, when we talk about bias, a lot of times people don't know what I mean by that. And on the screen, there are a couple of biases that are there that I want to point out. The Amazon had a recruiting tool, and they were going to use AI because they wanted to be more systematic. And so they went in and they trained their AI recruiting tool to where they trained it on their data that they had, right? Which was their previous hires who turned out to be good employees, right? So they were using that as a guide to determine who made it to the next process. The problem was that in the past, they had hiring practices where they were hiring mostly white males, right? And so what happens when they train it using that data? It's going to pick out those white males, right? It's going to pick out those resumes based on those patterns. And Amazon actually had to stop and abandon the tool because they hadn't trained it right, right? Another example is facial recognition, right? It based on where we're at, and you can read the text, right? There was a 34.7 error rate for darker skinned females compared to lighter skinned females. Well, why was that? A majority of the test cases they had were white females, right? They didn't take into account that there might be differences in how the software and how the images are recognized based on different colors, right? And so it's those kind of biases are out there. They happen, right? And I wanted to share those with you so that we're just not talking about something theoretical. There can be big misses by people who are putting in big bucks to develop products, right? And it can be wrong. In one of the classes, one of the ladies brought up the fact that the faucets that you put your hands under, right, and it turns on the water, right, had a hard time recognizing her hands because, again, they were trained on, white hands, Caucasian hands, not necessarily all the other ones, right? And so that's where, as we go forward, as you're pushing on, you need to be aware of those biases, right? Not only from the standpoint of you could be biased, but you might be biasing others, right? So think about that as you go forward, right? If you've got questions about bias, ask AI to double check it. It can double check itself, right? You give it a different perspective and say, you are an African-American bias researcher. Is there bias in the following? Is there bias in the following text, right? Or what, it goes back to that specialization where you're trying to narrow that focus and give it a little bit different view, right? A view this way versus a view that way. Encourage it to think that and just not give you the bland version that it's going to give you, right? Well, it's going to give you the majority. Well, I don't always want the majority. Sometimes I want a different view. I may want it to be a PhD professor. I may want to be a PhD professor at a Christian university. I may want it to have the view of a athlete, a high school athlete, or a 6-year-old, right, who's having trouble reading, right, who's got reading difficulties. Have AI look at it and take those different perspectives. What else do I want to say? Let me see if there's anything else in here I want to flip through. There's a lot more in the PowerPoint. I'll let you go through it. I'm not going to go through and talk about it. One of the other PowerPoint, you're going to get a PowerPoint on copyright. So I'm going to talk about that. That's for your review as well. Right? So copyright. Copyright is one of those things that goes back to kind of those ethics, kind of goes back to law. We all know that things take forever to get through Congress. And to try and get an agreement on what things should be is next to impossible anymore, right? So the U.S. copyright laws are behind where the technology is, right? And so, you need to keep an eye on that space, right? Can you copyright your book? Is a question I get a lot. Can you copyright that book? Yes, you can, but it depends, right? It depends on did you just ask AI to write a book, or did you create the outline and massage the outline and shift it and take the outputs and make it your own? Does it have your voice in it? Or is it just that rhythmic, long-winded AI generated thing that's got furthermore and moreover all over the place, right? Is it nothing but bullet points? Or is there text to it? Did you put a different perspective in it? Are you taking it and formatting it and putting it in a new format that works? Are you coming up with your own title, right? You can say to AI, give me 10 catchy titles for a book on AI ethics, right? Then you pick one. You didn't say, just give me a title. You picked between the choices it gave you. So when we talk about, do you need to put copyright on it, or can you copyright it? Yeah, you can copyright it. Do you need to put AI assisted on this or AI partner? That depends on you and where you're at, right? We had a decent conversation on that. It depends, right? Copyright is one of those things that will take a while to shake itself out. Are you violating copyright? You could, right? You could violate if AI gives you something that is strictly out of, a book. It could, right? So you own the onus of double checking. If you're creating something if you're creating a book you're going to put on Amazon, you probably should do that. You probably should ask it to cite its sources, right? Ask it to cite, if it's got any direct quotes, have it cite those sources so that that you're at least telling it. Ask it to go back and look at it and say, I'm sorry, it's leaving me. As a copyright expert, are there any copyright violations on this? You can ask it to check the copyright, if you're talking about patents and things like that, you can ask it to check, is this a valid copyright? If it's your book and you're going to publish it and it's going to be a major piece of work, you may want to go through the copyright process, the federal copyright process. You can do that. You can be as cheap. You can go as cheap as you want, or you can go as expensive as you want. Those are the things you need to think about, right? And if you're a New York Times bestseller and have made a lot of money, you probably need to be more conscious of copyright than if you're building something that you're going to give to your coaching clients, right? So it just all kind of depends. Yeah. So that's pretty much, I talked about copyright. We talked ad nauseum about bias and ethics. I think I'm going to stop and see if there are any questions before I jump into the last topic I want to cover before we bug out of here. Any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I was just thinking when you was talking about copywriting and did you write this? And when I think about getting things from AI, I think about when I was learning about getting things from the internet in general before AI really came, before we know it now, public domain, right? Getting things publicly. It's out, it's out there. But it feels like nothing is new. It almost seems like sometimes I think if I have an idea and it feels like it's mine and it came from my brain, and then I'll Google it, and I'm like, dang,
Somebody else
where
knows.
did I see this at? You know what I'm saying? It's like all these thoughts are out there in the universe, and it just seeped in my head unconsciously somewhere. And I think I thought it up. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, you guys. I'm just
Yes.
rambling now. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I just had
You're
that thought
not,
that had
let me
come out.
interrupt you.
Nothing
You are
new.
not,
Okay.
you are
Okay.
not rambling, because I
Okay.
guarantee you the fact that you're talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
other people are probably thinking it, right?
Okay. Okay.
They've probably been there, right? It's like,
Yeah.
dang, I wish I'd have moved on this idea. Right.
Yeah.
And I had this idea on this, and well, so yeah, there's billions of people on this planet, right? The odds that you're the only one thinking and you're creating something completely new and fresh is
Yeah.
the odds on that are minimal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything
Mm-hmm.
we do is built upon our experiences, what we've seen, what we've learned. So yeah, there's not a lot. There may be a different way of explaining it,
Mm-hmm.
but most of the ideas that we get come from somebody else.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to move on to, I'm going to share this one. And I want to talk about this because I think this will be important for you as you over the break and as you're working on your projects. Where is that here? Here it is. Okay. So, crafting prompts that inspire creative responses. If you ask if you ask a closed question, are you cold? Right? What response do you get? You typically get a yes or a no. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Most
Both.
people will just
Yeah.
default to that, right? And some people may say, well, I'm okay, right? You get different, but a lot of people would just respond yes or no. When you're using AI, it's very much like that. It's very much, if you ask a closed question, it's going to give you a response. It may make it up, but it's going to give you a response, right? And when you think about the power of AI, it's really about questions. It's really about, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. I know I want to write a book, and I want to write a book about crafting prompts that inspire creative responses. I know I want to do that, but where do I start? Right? That's the kind of thing that we want, that I want to convey in this, right? AI can help you. It doesn't critically think for you, but if you use critical thinking, AI can really empower you, right? And can really speed you through the process because you've got somebody to talk it through with, right? And it's like talking to the most experienced person in the world, right? Sometimes they'll make stuff up, but for the most part, it will give you information that will let you go down a path that you couldn't go down in the past. We've talked about why prompts matter, great prompts matter. But when we think about it for brainstorming, right, you don't want to write, if you're brainstorming, you don't really want to write the best prompt. You want to ask questions, right? You want it to generate many ideas. Give me 10 examples of a catchy title for my book. Give me 5 examples of a product description for this product that is SEO enabled, right? Or SEO optimized, right? You're asking it to give you options for you to choose. You're not letting it make those decisions, right? You can ask it, you can say, give me 10 examples and give me your recommendation for the top 3, right? So there you're asking it to provide what it thinks are the top 3 examples. You're still driving it. You're using it to generate ideas that maybe you hadn't thought of, right? Concepts that you would never have thought of. I can't tell you the number of times I've gone down, I've been using it, and it takes me down a path that I didn't anticipate, right? If you ask a closed question, you're going to get yes or no. You're not going to, and it's going to answer your question. It's not going to give you options that maybe give you a better outcome, right? So there's a time when you ask for good question, you ask questions, and then there's closed-end questions, and then there's times when you ask open-ended questions. And so you need to, when you're brainstorming, you typically want to figure that out. You typically want to figure that out as you're starting to go in, right? Again, ask it for options. Ask it for it to give you some ideas. When we do design thinking, and I know some of you know what design thinking is, right? We don't shut down in a design thinking session. We don't shut down any ideas. No matter how silly they are or how stupid we might think they would be, we don't shut those down. When you're using AI, don't shut it down. Ask it to give you a variety of questions. Ask for some ideas that you think that would be appealing to a getting some feedback here. Hold on a minute. There you go. Okay, we're asking to give you some ideas from the perspective of a child. You're a 6-year-old child. Give me 6 examples of catchy titles for a book about giraffes, or a book about giraffes explaining the importance of washing your hands. Okay, I'm just making this up as I go. So you ask it for those suggestions and let it give it to you, right? It's going to take longer to get there, right? You're going to get 3 different, if you say, give me 6 catchy titles and make your recommendations, you're going to get a lot more than just, here's the title for the book. You're going to have to think about it. But isn't that really what we want to do, is think about it? Don't we want to be in control? I don't think we want to be the AI to be thinking about it and to be doing its own thing and telling us, right? We want to be in control. So ask it for options. Ask it for what it thinks. Let's see what else is over here. Open-ended, I talked about that. Invite novel perspectives, right? And ask it to judge based on different perspectives, right? I talked about diversity, and we talked about diverse teams, right? We want different people with different perspectives looking at the same ideas. Ask it to take a different approach. As a salesman, take a look at this product that I've defined. As a marketer, take a look at this product as I've defined. As my 6-year-old customer, look at this product and tell me what you think, right? And those are badly worded prompts, but I'm trying to get across the point of the different perspectives coming in, right? If you only give it one way to go, the best you're going to get is that perspective, right? That's the best you're going to get. If you open it up when it's appropriate, like especially in the ideation phases, when you open it up and say, give me a perspective based on this or on that, or give me multiple perspectives, it's going to gives you the opportunity to be able to see things maybe that you wouldn't have seen before, right? In the past, we'd have to develop a product or a thing and we'd have to put it out there, right? If we were giving a speech, we would write the speech, and then we might, if it was for a major conference, we might give that speech to some of our coworkers, right? Or we're going to do it in front of the mirror, or we're going to record ourselves and then look at it. This gives us the ability that we can take that perspective of, okay, you're a retired electrical engineer. What do you think about the contents of this speech? You're a college grad, newly minted college graduate with a degree in electrical engineering that's looking for a job. What's your perspective on the speech, right? You can hone it in on those narrow focuses to get the different perspectives, right? Instead of just getting the homogenic, kind of the blah view of it, let's get specific with it. We can now do that. We couldn't do that before. Powerful questions, right? we talked about, and I keep picking on Beverly. I think it was Beverly who said that we still do things. We're just doing it. We still do the same kind of things we did before. We're just doing it inside of AI, right? It's very much that when you think about the art of questioning. If we're still going to use good questions. We still need to use good questions. We use open-ended for some things, closed for others, right? Which we would do if we were talking to an individual. Well, we're still going to do those kind of things. You know, it's going to drive our creativity. If we limit ourselves and again ask closed-ended questions, then that's as good as we're going to get. But if we open it up, we're going to get a better perspective. You know, I'm going to just go on a side tangent here really quick. Playing on that, remember in AI, remember your cybersecurity guidelines, rules, best practices that you already follow, right? Don't put PI in a chat. Don't put your credit card numbers up there, right? Don't put your social security number up there. Don't put your finances up there, right? Don't use it for that. You can use it for guides and strategy. Don't put it up there because yes, they're not going to train with it. They're not going to train their models with it maybe, but it's still out there. You're still exposing yourself. You know, you don't know when, you don't know when some employee of the company is going to get a download of the database of all the social security numbers or all the financial statements. You just don't know that. So remember those rules as you go forward. Going back to questioning, right? You want to be thought-provoking. You want to challenge your assumptions. You want to lay your assumptions out. These are my assumptions. I'm assuming that the market is viable for this particular product, and that I'm assuming that my market, my audience is going to be 16 to 25-year-olds living in Gary, Indiana, right? Or living in Indianapolis or living in Chicago. However you want to do that, narrow that, ask those questions and make sure that you're talking about your assumptions, right? That you're conveying what your assumptions are. Ask it, are my assumptions valid? I'm assuming that there's a market for this. Is that a valid thing? Get its opinion, right? It doesn't cost you anything anymore to ask that question, right? But you don't know what insightful information it might give you. You might find out right away there's not really a market for that. So then you have to decide, there's not a market for that. So if there's not a market for that, is it because nobody's thought of it, or is it because nobody's willing to pay for it, right? You can get those perspectives today and save yourself a lot of time and a lot of money. So you can use constraints to help spark innovation, I think. You can read that later. Going back. Let me go back. So create within established structures like sonnet, haiku, or using only dialogue, right? So you can use rules. You can say, I want this to be a sonnet, or I want this to be I want my lyrics to be in a hip hop type style, right? You can put those rules around it and ask it to fit what it's doing into those rules. So you wouldn't think that creating rules might help you create innovation, but think about being able to take the explanation for quantum physics and putting it in song lyrics similar to what Usher writes. Kids may not listen to the theoretical academic thought, but would they listen to it in their language, right? Would they listen to it in their genre? Maybe, right? Those are the kind of things that we can now explore that in the past would have required huge amounts of time. Now we can go in and try some of these things and figure out, hey, what are we doing? I think one of the things that I want to mention too is don't let good enough get in the way of perfection, or let me say that a different way because I said that wrong. Don't let perfection get in the way of good enough, right? You can spend, even with AI, you can spend days researching stuff, hours doing stuff that at the end of the day doesn't matter, right? What does matter is when you get your ideas and you get your thoughts and you get it built out, think about how can I take this and get real feedback on it, right? There's nothing that replaces real feedback. What am I doing on time? I got 7 minutes. Okay. You can read that. You can read that. Iterative prompt development. Remember that we need to be iterative and incremental. Start simple and then build upon it, right? Keep building upon it. Create a set of song lyrics. Now create that are focused on quantum physics. Now create a set of song lyrics that are appropriate for a 6th grader, right? You keep iterating on it. And that's a bad example, I know, but you get the idea, right? Keep iterating through as you keep getting examples, as you see what it is, right? You don't want to just say, okay, here's what I want. And, and it's going to give you the end product and you don't see what it's going to be. You want to iterate and make it incremental, because if you see something that's wrong, correct it right away. Don't let it go all the way to the end and take your lyrics and put it to music. And then you go, well, that's not what I wanted. Right. So you back up, you start and say, all right, generate my lyrics, generate my general theme that will fit with these kind of lyrics. Let's match them up together. Let's, step it through incrementally. Don't try to build it all in one thing. Talked about that. This is a good example, right? We talked about divergent thinking. Yep. This is one of the more challenging things for me is AI and images. Think about how you can think about what emotions you want when you're generating your images, right? What are you trying to convey? Are you trying to convey an image of a particular person as being a superhero, right? What's the purpose of that? Well, I'm trying to get 12 to 21-year-olds to pay attention to it, right? To embrace it. I want to portray something in a can't even talk today, a minimalist type approach, right? Or a minimalist type design, right? I want it to be very sci-fi. I want it to be Star Trek themed. I want it to be whatever that is. Think about those things in addition to the actual image you're asking for. Think about the emotions you want to evoke and what outcome you want. Different audiences. So we've talked about this. I've talked about this all the way through pretty much, right? We've talked about kids. We've talked about business. We've talked about professionals, adolescents. I've used myself as an example, right? We've talked about 16 to 25-year-old males, job changers, right? Think of people that are changing jobs. We want to get their attention, right? Whatever it is we're doing, we want to think about that and try and hone that in terms of who our audience is. Yeah. There's a lot of creativity boosters. You can Google it on the internet. You can go into Google and say, give me the top 12 sales prompts. And it will give you 12. It'll give you 12 prompts from various people. There's more prompts out there than there is successful people. I will say that my experience is that if you find somebody saying you can get 5,000 prompts for $19.95, it's probably crap. Just my experience, right? Look for examples. There's enough people out there thumping their chest going, look what I did, look what I did. That if there's something you want to do, You don't have to start from scratch. Get somebody else's prompt that they've published and pull that in and adapt it. You don't have to start from ground zero. Yeah, we talked about leading questions, right? Closed questions. Yeah, you can read that later. Yeah, so think about this as you're going forward, right? As we're moving forward and we got 2 minutes left. Think about this as you go forward. When you find a prompt that works for you, right? Copy it down, put it in a Word document, create a custom GPT if you've got a paid subscription, right? So that prompt is available to you. You don't have to start from scratch every time. That's where when you go out to Chat GPT, for example, you can say explore GPTs or you click, I think it's now called GPTs. You click on GPTs and it brings up all these prompts or all these use cases for prompts that people have written, right? How to SEO your website, things like that, right? Those are things where people have gone out and created prompts for themselves, either to sell or whatever, that they've created those. You can go in when you get your best prompts, create a custom GPT, put that prompt somewhere where you can reuse it, right? And then and keep it available. For me, when I'm writing, I have a prompt that is a no BS. It's called literally a no BS blog writer. It's you know what BS is. So it's none of that, right? It's my style. It's my style guide that I created. And it's geared toward writing a good blog post, to take my ideas. And I will take stuff I've written and rewrite it, right? Ask it to go and refresh it, refresh some of the ideas. I'll then go through and read it. I have a custom GPT for that, right? So that I don't have to go back and retype all that stuff in or go look it up, right? I can just go click on my custom GPT, the prompt, it opens up in that prompt and I'm good to go. Let me see what's on the chat. Blonde Lace, making sure you do that. There is in the GPT in InnoPower.ai, there is a prompt creator. So if you want to shortcut it, go in there and it will help you craft a better prompt. So you can go in and do that. Okay, so that's all I've got to show you. I want to talk about next steps. So next steps are that we are going to get back together. You should be receiving an invitation for January 7th. And we will get together on January 7th and we will talk about moving. We'll be congratulating those of you that completed this phase, got your books done. Those of you that didn't, it's okay, or got your projects done. We'll get together and we'll use that as kind of a closing point for this part of the class. On January 8th, those of you that are going to continue on to be master trainers, we will start another cohort, and that cohort will bring in a number of people that have already completed the 12-hour training, right? And they'll be spread out. There'll be some folks from Africa, from Liberia, from Nigeria, probably from Kenya. There'll be people from Gary. There'll be people from Indianapolis. We've had a couple people that have been in Washington, D.C. So you'll have an opportunity to, we'll grow the perspectives that we have during that period. And we'll start that journey to become a certified master trainer. Again, I'm not going to put any more homework on you. You've got the workbooks, right? You should go out, and if go out, get your project done, get it submitted, get the couple of our homework assignments that we've got done, completed, right? The Are You Famous? And then the Are You a Detective? Those are in your workbook. Go ahead and get those done. Send them to send those people, those documents along with your title, your outline, and your draft of your book or your project when you get it done. Send those to Blonley, right? And it needs to be of substance. That project needs to be, can't just be one page. It needs to be more, there needs to be more out there. And yes, Blonley will send you the link to the workbook. What else? I see in the, how do I make up the first 2 classes? Those classes are out on video. They're out on YouTube, and there's a channel. You can go out and watch those. Let's see. How do we recommend others to join future cohorts? You send that information, send an email to Blonley and tell her you'd like, tell her that you've got some names and some emails of some folks that you think might be interested. And we would certainly, we'll certainly add them to the next cohort we have. You can have them email Blonley and she'll take care of that for you. What other questions do you have?
Okay, so no class tomorrow. This is the last class.
This is the last class until January 7th, right? And
Okay,
the class on what the expectation is that you're going to finish those 2 homework assignments.
Okay.
And you're going to finish your project between now and then, so that when we get together, we're wrapping things up, and then we're going forward into the next section, right? The master trainer. You have to have it completed prior to that class and have it submitted before you can go on to the master trainer. You have to have your project plus those 2 homework assignments. And
Okay,
if you
so the
miss,
2 homework assignments. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'm good.
Okay, so just the title of a book or project, and the outline, and then the draft of whatever this project is.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And then so do those, get those to Blonley before the 7th. And then, and then we'll give you on the 7th, if you've done all that, we'll complete your certificate and we'll go forward. If you're not done by the 7th, then you're going to have to write me an email convincing me that you're ready to go on to the next phase, because the next phase is going to be advanced. I mean, we're going to be advanced prompting. We're going to be talking about some complex prompts. We're going to be talking about the state of AI and where it's at, preparing you to be able to answer questions, to become that voice of authority. When you go into your sessions, we're going to then move into how do you facilitate, right? How do you facilitate these AI sessions? So you really, normally I would we'd end, and if you drifted off and didn't get it for 2 or 3 weeks or a month, I wouldn't care on the projects. Mm-hmm. But in this case, we need to know that you're ready, because when we move into the next phase, everybody else that's not in this cohort right now will have been through the 12 hours, will have completed all their assignments, and they're going to be ready to move for the next, through the next phase. And so you're going to get further behind if you can't get those things done.
That makes sense.
Doesn't mean you can't attend a future AI master trainers. Doesn't mean you can't attend we're going to do an automation, and then we're going to do an agent class as well. Agents class, how you build those. So we're going to do those 2 classes as well. Doesn't mean you can't attend those. Just means you can't teach them.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm going to get there. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I had a question. Considering the capstone project, what is the ultimate objective? Are we just putting together this ideal project and laying out so that we get experience with the AI, or is there an objective? Maybe I should. Yeah, is there an objective?
Is there an objective? No, I'm just having you do it because I want to. No, I'm kidding.
Very cool guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm reminded of the Guardian. There's a scene in the Guardians of the Galaxy that if you haven't seen, if you haven't seen that, where they go get a leg and they escape and all that, and he find out. Anyway, it's a long story. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The objective is that to build a big project, right? To have something that is production ready. You want to have a, let's say you're building an ebook of 50 pages, right? You're going to have a cover. You're going to have, you're going to go through and you're going to have to create a catchy title for it. You're going to have, something that's going to make people want to open it. You're going to have detail that's going to be structured. You're going to have to generate the content. You're going to have to put your own thoughts into it. You're going to have to package it all together, right? To be considered a final, you have to put a back cover on it and figure out what that text is. To do that entire project, you're going to pretty well exercise all the preliminary things that I think you need to have to be good at prompting, right? So, and the objective was not just, I could have asked you to do a book on biomedical devices, right? I could have said, everybody give me a book on biomedical devices. The idea was that you would use that project to be something you're passionate about. And you would take that passion, put that in there, and that the idea for me was, rather than it being work, you're learning by doing something fun, something you want to do. So that's why I structured it the way I structured it.
I think I want to resubmit my book. Can I do that?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Cool. Did I answer your question, Josh?
I have a question.
Yeah, so as a follow-up, so then if we want to do something and post that project, could we take I'm guessing we could just take that project on and let's, do our own thing, or
I don't know what you mean.
Or well, basically, I'm asking if we're going to produce this work, and whatever work we decide to produce, are we able to continue to push this work through? Meaning, like, could we publish it? Could we start working through it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's your work.
Right.
You own the copyright for what you do. Not my idea, it's yours. I'm not asking you to develop a book and I'm going to take it. It's your idea. So I want you to come up with something that you want to do. Could be something for work, right? Could be a big marketing plan. Could be you want to, create a how-to book on how to garden. It could be that you just got this passion about Legos and you want to write a book about Legos. I don't care, right? I want it to be meaningful to you, because I know if it's meaningful to you, you're going to use all the tools and all the stuff to do it. And I've found it's better to do something fun that you enjoy, and it really ends up not being work, right? It ends up being something you're passionate about. So pick your thing, right? I mean, could be a kid's coloring book, right? Could be anything. Could be t-shirt designs. I don't care. I just want you to go through the exercise of exercising the AI tool of your choice, and use different techniques to get to the end.
Thank you.
Yep. I was just thinking, by the way, that the workbook is actually in innopower.ai. If you log in there, for those of you that don't have it, I'll ask Blonley to send it out. But inside of InnoPower, if you go, you've got the left hand, when you log in, you have the left side, and you scroll all the way down to the bottom. You'll see a thing that says AI Specialist Workbook. And that is the newest version. The one we sent out at the beginning of the week was one just for this cohort, but I've taken the one I have for the next phase of it and added it to this. So it's got more exercises. But your capstone project and the things I asked you to do for homework, they are in there. And you just literally click the link and it downloads the PDF. And before somebody says that I have an intern this summer or this week, next couple of weeks, who I'm going to have go make this a fillable PDF, right? So, okay, I'm sorry, I just talked over somebody. Did somebody
I was
say
asking,
something?
the capstone project is due before January 7th. And sorry, everybody, I wasn't here the first two classes. This is my first one, my first class. So I'm just wanting to
Yes.
make sure I'm doing the right thing.
Yes.
Okay. So the capstone,
Yep.
and what else in that?
There's a Are You Famous in that workbook.
Okay.
It's in InnoPower.ai. There is a workbook
Okay. I
that
see.
is all the way down on the left at the bottom.
Yep.
The menu that's on the left. You should be able to click that link and download it.
Yep. I have it open and it lists everything. So I just look for Are You Famous? The capstone project. Is there one other?
Are you a detective?
I do not see that. Can you show me that?
Can you explain that one, Chris?
Are you famous? Are you
once you do the
detective? And
homework.
the capstone project.
Right. And Chris,
Yeah,
can you explain the detective one?
And I don't see that either.
It's in
You
the
don't?
No, I do not.
it's page 14.
I do not see any kind of workbook.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. When I scroll down to the bottom says facilitation.
Hey, Chris, can I share my screen so they can see what they should be looking for?
Yeah, I'm actually pulling it up.
Okay, I already got it up.
You can go ahead. You can go ahead and yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. I'm open. I don't have to be the guy showing.
Our project is missing the C.
So when you log in,
I do not see it.
So on the bottom, under privacy policy,
I do not see anything.
You don't see where it says AI specialist workbook?
I don't see what you're showing. I don't see your page. Your screen.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Look in the in the chat. I put a link there and I put a link to the PDF.
Okay. Now I have that. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Go.
Thank you
So
so much.
Chris, I did not
Yes.
understand the instructions for that detective one because I don't know what the problem is. He says I was going to be given a problem. The direction says you will be given a question and you are expected to solve it. So where do we get the question?
I'm sorry, I'm scrolling through here. Let me get to it.
I think it's page 14 of the workbook or 17.
Yeah.
I think
I'm looking at the same thing. It does say you will be given a question. You're expecting to solve it.
and I don't know. I looked through everything. I went back through the video of the class, and so I
Yeah. I see it. I see it. I'm looking at it. I see it.
Was that the one where we had where we had to go look at data sheets and something like that?
No, that's not it. That was a different one. So are you a detective? So let me give you a problem.
Okay.
How do we, let me think about this. What's the problem? What are the best steps? Let me put this in the chat. I got to type this. I thought I'd fix this already. Let me put it in here.
Hey, I was looking at the wrong place.
Oh, this is a good one. I think this is a good one. We'll see if you like it. How do we solve the problem of a food desert?
That's a good
You're
one.
working on that right now.
That goes right in with my nonprofit. So I'm glad I get to do this.
There you go. Right? Does everybody know what a food desert is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. All right. I didn't know. That tells you how clueless I am. I didn't know that until I moved downtown in Indianapolis. And then all of a sudden I'm like, why are there no grocery stores around here? That answer. So I found out pretty quick. Okay.
Okay, wait, so I have a question. So what happened is you asked us to solve a problem that you didn't give us the problem. Is that what happened?
Yes, I just the worksheet that I included was one where I just normally gave it to people in person, and then I would give them a problem. So I put that in the workbook, and I forgot to put the actual problem in there.
Got it. Okay,
So,
okay. Thank you.
there you go.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Any other questions?
Can I speak with you for about a minute and a half after the class?
Yeah, I'm going to set a timer up. You're only going to have 90 seconds, Jared. No, yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. The other thing I wanted to say is that I've got some things I've got to go do here this afternoon, but tomorrow I will get with Blonley and we will send you a time. I'm going to send you some time for the 3 days next week and a couple days in the following week, right between Christmas and New Year's, where I'm going to be online having office hours so that you can reach out if you got questions, you want to talk about something else, you want to talk about, your business, you want to talk about your not-for-profit, or you want to talk about food deserts or whatever, right? I use that time. I love to talk, and I love to also get the heck out of the way and let other people talk. So we'll send out some invites, and then you can reach out, and that way we can support you through the holidays, right? And that's really what I want to do. I want to make sure you're not sitting there for 2 weeks frustrated.
Okay.
So.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I have one more question. So your complete capstone project has to be completed before January 7th?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
So that sounds like it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
But you can do it. And if it's too much, if it feels like it's too much, cut it back. Right? If you think you're going to write War and Peace, cut it back to cut it back to something else, right? Cut it back to a small. I'm gonna write or if it's a long book, I don't have to have the entire book. But if you're gonna write, say you're gonna write a book on, I'm not sure what you do, Beverly, but say you're gonna write a book on World War II, right? Give me the first 3 chapters.
Okay, got it.
Right.
Okay.
I just want to see, and refine those first 3 chapters and get it to where get it to where you're comfortable, because I want to see you. I want to see you actually go in and how you go through and do it. Right. I'm I'm not really interested in you generating 300 pages, right?
Okay.
That's not
Got it.
quantity over. I'm quality
Quality.
over quantity, right?
Okay. Okay. All right. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
And the
Any
classes
other?
will be 7, 8, and 9, January 7th, 8th, and 9th,
They
or
will
6,
be
7.
January. No, it will be January 7th will be the wrap up of this cohort, and then the 12-hour training. And then on the 8th, we'll start the certified master trainers cohort.
Oh,
Okay. And
okay.
that will run for a while, right? That will probably we'll space it out a little bit. So it'll probably end up taking us all the way through May.
So this isn't a 12-hour class the way the first one was.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so
But I'm expecting you to work on your projects over the holidays rather than listening to me drone on for 12 hours or
okay,
6
all
more
right.
hours.
So that'll be part
Right,
of the 12. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Very good.
I'll let you get to your call. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
On for a minute.
All right.
Yep.
For my
I'm
minute and
holding
a
on,
half.
Jerry.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Same to you.
Thanks.
Bye. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Hmm.
All right. There's
Okay.
just,
So,
even though it says there's 4 of us here, there's really only 3 of us, or 2 of us, right? It's
okay.
me and you.
Well, Brett might be on it because
Yes, I'm on
he
here.
was my assist. He helped me through yesterday, and it was a tremendous aid. I wanted to just ask you about my project. Wanted to make sure that I'm going to be on. I think it covers all of the parameters. I am creating for my family a 12-month calendar. And this is part to it's something, like almost like a family tree, but it's not. Maybe the next part will be the full family tree, but it's for my immediate family. It will consist of all of the immediate family, parents, children, grandchildren, spouse, and siblings. And then in it will be birthdays, um, wedding dates, and even deaths of those immediate family members. And the purpose is to pull. My family has been working towards developing a family tree and history of our family. But I can't do all of them. That's, we've got grandparents and cousins and aunts and uncles. I'm just doing my immediate family. And from that, based on how well I can get that done, then maybe stage 2, if there's another project that we may end up doing, I can then expand. But I had submitted that, and then there was a question when I submitted that about explaining that my purpose, I think. And so I wanted to make sure, is that something that falls within the parameters of what you're expecting?
How are you going to use AI on it?
Well, I've already kind of started. First off, I started talking about how do I even pull that together. And it gave me some suggestions and then I started I got all kinds of advice as to how to go through and do that. And so I've got to try those things. And then
I even went back and said, because I went back and read the instructions as to what the homework assignment was for today. And I said, it said, what will the name of the project be? So I kind of told the AI what I'm doing, and I said, give me some suggested names, and it kicked out 10,
Mhm.
and then it wanted to know if I wanted to expand on either one. I said, well, just let me look at these and think about them and choose, one that I think best identifies what it is I want to do. Uh, Um, I had to talk about, I did some research on how I was going to put it together, the type of binding that needs to occur, what kind of paper I needed to use. So it kicked out a bunch of things that says I need to go and decide, and I'm going back and pulling out if each one that I'm interested in and getting some more information on that. But and the purpose is that I want to bring this part of my family together and help us to learn and appreciate who we are and to see the big picture of who we are, how we expand through a whole year. And more will be coming, I'm sure, as I'm going through. But I definitely that's the project that I want to do.
Mhm. Okay. So you're going to use, let me repeat it back. So you're going to go through and you're going to use AI to give you titles and give you as a thought partner, if you will, on how to go do this, right? And you're
Right.
going to use it and you're going to use it to help you do your research.
Correct.
So
I mean,
what
it
do
has
you think
kicked
of?
out,
What do
it
you,
has it has kicked out a whole lot of things I hadn't even thought about that I do need to do. So
so you
I
know,
was
so
amazed.
you've been with me for a while now, right? You've been through now 6, 7 classes with me. What do you think I'm going to say?
What do I think? What?
What do you think I'm going to say about you're checking to see if your project is what you wanted, right? If it's going to qualify, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
described to me a project that you're going to use AI to help you craft a book, essentially, or a family timeline of
Mm-hmm.
that will feed into a family tree, right? And so, do you think that as I describe it to you, you're going to use it to get titles, you're going to use it to as a thought partner to think about and consider certain things, right? You could use it to help generate your cover or parts of your cover. Maybe your cover is your family. You have it generate an image or something like that that goes in it or whatever, or on the back cover, whatever you're going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
The language
Right.
of it, you're going to go in and format it, and you're going to ask paper, what kind, if you when you publish the book, and I don't mean publish, it goes on Amazon, but when you actually print the book, what kind of paper to use and sizes and all that stuff, right?
And by then having to pull, it suggested I, go and get pictures of everyone and where to put those pictures, how to place them in. Um, and then it started telling me some other themes that I might
Yep.
want to consider. So, yeah,
So
so
you're
it's
so you're using it as a thought partner, right?
yes.
And
Hmm.
so the question is, does that qualify, right?
Right. That's my
And
question to you.
right. So now that you've laid it all out, what would you say if you were me?
If I were you, I would say that is an absolutely wonderful thing because it's definitely something that you and your family will appreciate and will probably save forever and will help you to use all of those prompts that you have.
So I'm going to say to that sentence that you just put together, ditto. Right? You've thought it through, right? You've thought it through. You're using it. Originally when I started this, it was going to be using it to write, and so people wrote a book. But I've had people go in and take poems that they've written and put together a collection of poems. I've had people come in and put, I had one lady that went through and created a book that took her generation, her family, back to the 1700s, traced it all the way back, and then put in relevant details that were going on at that time to help fill in, okay, in 1747, what was going on, right? The American colonies were doing blah, 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 blah. And she used AI for that. She used AI to do her research. I love the idea you're using it as a thought partner, right? And you're using it as a way of making a better product, but yet you're still owning I've got to get this and I've got to get that. And you're gathering the information and you're going to use it as a thought partner to help you. I love it. Perfect.
Okay. And what you just said about the other lady, I even stated in my the part 2 of this would be I would do a more historical thing with the broader family as we're if I can do it, but I knew that that was more than I could handle for this. And I got distressed when you just said that it's due by this 7th. I'm going, oh goodness, but that's good because I was thinking, I put it in my little paper there that I submitted that I figured it was going to take me 26 or 27. I'm thinking 27. But hey, if I have to do it by then, by the 7th, that'll be in 2026. And it's still, I can do it for 2026 because that'll still be enough time for them to get it and use it for the whole year. So, but it means I got to get my buddy. So
I go back to the comment I made about if you're writing a big book, just give me enough to show me that you're doing that, right? Give me enough. Give me 3 chapters. If you're doing a timeline, do the first 6 months. If you're doing chapters, do chapters, right? Do 2 or 3 chapters, and take those chapters, right? Don't just copy and paste them, but take them in and make it as though you're driving toward that finished product, and that'll be good enough, right? I recognize that the lady who did the one, who did kind of what you're doing, but added the next layer to it, or a different layer to it. I talked to her a few months later, and her book, and she was up to 1,000 pages because it just kept growing and growing and growing, and she kept adding and adding. And that's why I said, don't let perfection get in the way of good enough, right? So if you find it growing for this period, cut it back to what it needs to be to get through to the next level. And I'm good with that.
All right.
I'm not.
All right, Jerry, don't hang up. Don't hang up. Don't hang up, Jerry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Don't hang up. Hey, Chris.
All right.
So I am going to need both of your input on that. So, Chris, as going through this second cohort, I pretty much was watching your demeanor for training myself and getting myself prepared in the next to prepare for the next cohort. I think the biggest thing for me is watching how in the back of your mind, and I know it has to be in your mind, that you've built the website. That's one point of interest. You also facilitated, at least an hour, solid hour of transitional training from yourself to us by way of visual aids. But then on the third part, we have email correspondence that provides us the information as well. How do
Mhm.
you how do you keep your composure? And I've watched you. You don't twitch, you don't frown, you don't move. How do you maintain your composure and reassess something that's been put out over and over and over again from your perspective, but you do it so fluently as if it was your first time explaining it. How can you help me with that? Because that's a problem I have with me.
Yeah. So let me repeat it back to you and see if I've got it. So you're saying I've got somebody asked a question that has been asked before, right? That I've answered lots and lots of times. And how do I not get frustrated at that? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Chris.
Okay. Patience. I don't know. I try to remember. I have a different. Well, let me back up. So I have a different perspective than you do, right? My
Yes.
perspective is I'm a almost 65-year-old guy,
You do
and
not
I
look
forget.
65, by the way. But
I'm
okay.
64 and a half, and I forget stuff,
Yes. Okay.
right? I
Yeah.
have also been through and if this is too much information, I apologize, but I've also been through a heart transplant 5 years ago. I have been code blue 3 times, right? Where they've had to bring me back from the dead. So when somebody asks me a question, I'm just like, everybody, I forget stuff, right? The whole point I'm trying to make is I forget stuff all the time. My wife gets on me all the time, or she'll say something and I don't understand. I have to ask her again. And it's not a big deal. I'm not there for me. I'm there for them and for you all. And, some people, I had one lady in the cohort who was a school bus driver for 40 years, 35 years. And she quit when she got close to retirement, she retired and she opened up a vegetable garden in her yard, right? A community garden where she raised vegetables and people would come and she would feed the homeless, right? Not necessarily the homeless, but the food challenged. She didn't know she was the lady I was talking about, didn't know what a Google Doc was.
Okay.
I could have said, yeah, you're not in this class, but that lady is now whipping along. I mean, she's not where I've got one guy that's going around, and Emil's not kidding. We've got a guy, Adele Means, who is he is traveling to around the country talking in his industry about AI. And he came into the class and didn't know. He knew some, but he didn't know much. He didn't know what mattered. And he went through the class, and I just gave him enough information, stayed the heck out of his way. And he's out there, right? So there's everybody has a different degree of success. Everybody's coming in with a different point. And I'm just trying to give back. So it doesn't it doesn't bother me when I get calls from people and they say, I don't understand this, or this doesn't make sense to me, or Chris, you didn't do this. Okay, I didn't do that. I'll fix it. I don't get wound up by all that stuff.
Okay.
I'm here for people, right? And
yeah.
And so that's kind of the attitude you kind of have I feel like I have to take. And I don't really have to take it. It's become, I've been doing this now I've been doing AI for a couple of years. I've been teaching IT processes since 2009.
Yes.
Every time I go into a job, they'd say, we want to do things the way we know that you know this stuff. We want you to teach us, even though that's not what they bring me into. And so I teach them. So I just got used to it, right? I enjoy the person when you have people that kind of are forced, when you do it in a corporate environment, you got people that are forced into class.
Yes.
And they hate it, right? I mean, Martin knows a lot, right? If he's on here, he knows a lot, right? Now take Martin and put him with an obstinate, I don't want to fricking be here attitude, man. And I'll tell you,
man,
those people.
You're right. You're right. That's a good example. Wow.
Those people are challenges.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Martin's not like that at all, right? He's trying to add to the class, right?
But that's
that's
what I'm talking about. That type of behavior, and instead of reacting instantly, what you gave me your points. I took your pain points, and I'm going to look at that for myself. But you're dead on with that example, because you're not in your lesson plan. You're not planning for that. And if this person just pops in and you don't know their true purpose of being there, what preparatorial things. And I have that. I used ChatGPT, of course, to kind of help me prepare for things that I'm weak on. I didn't get it from during the time I went to the first time. So I used the study material that was put out and just went back over it. And I think somebody said, "Hey, Chris, can I redo my book in that fashion?" Right. So we're rethinking it. And I'm glad that we have this space to kind of rethink and prep ourselves, because we're going to be evaluated. I'm almost sure you're going to be one of them. Right. So I just don't want to be in a place to where I'm going to freeze or say, I mean, I know errors happen, but that's my brand. If I make a mistake, that's a brand that I can build upon. I do know that part. But what I wanted from you is exactly what you did for me today. Was you kind of build this pattern where you put information out there and it's best, because you don't know your audience, who's going to be your audience for the next class, and you totally forget, and you go back to the drawing board and just relook over your lesson plan, and then it's not for you, and that's why I came and supported Shanita, because this wasn't for me, it was mainly for her, but then it turned around and being for me, right? Because I'm learning, I'm growing. But then you put out and you said, do what matters, right? Do the right thing and try to give back, each and every time. And that's the biggest thing that I really have to hold on to keep me grounded, because there's different facets of people, and not all people have the greatest warmth, like you described with ethics. Not all people approach someone like myself that has a diverse view on everything. Not just, I'm not political one way this way, not political one way that way. I don't put myself in front of a whole bunch of black people where I'm just comfortable with them the same way I'm comfortable with them. I'm comfortable with 50,000 white people the same way, right? So at the end of the day, I don't I don't adjust. I know for educational purposes, we have to adjust our tone and the way we speak to a specific group, depending on what that age group and audience is. But for me, there are people that are hurting. There are people that I know that are in pain and that are a lot worse than where I'm at. And that is why, I'm tagging behind Shanita with the point of what is Joseph hit it right on the nose. He asked a very prominent question to you. You handled it well. And you said, and I know I love the engineering sarcasm that came out of it. He asked, what was the output? And that's a very important question for us all, because I think you and Emil and Shanita are onto something, but we are going to be wanting intellectually, how do you see us as pathways, right, into promoting, at a minimum, promoting inner power at a minimum, right? So that is kind of where my mindset, and I'm not going to take up your time because you've answered my pain points. But I just wanted to say happy to you. Thank you very much for everything, and I give you back your time, sir.
All
Well,
right.
I gotta say that, for me, I'm glad y'all show up, right? I mean, I am glad you show up. I love to do this. I had a blast this summer working with, kids on the Near East side of Indianapolis. It is, I have to admit, I've traveled the world. I've been in situations like I've been in Thailand where I am the only, for lack of a better term, I'm the only white guy in the room.
Yes.
Right? And that happened early in my career.
Yes.
Right. And that's for a kid that grew up in the rural, I grew up in farm country. So to be in that kind of situation, kind of scary the first time. And then you realize they put their pants on the same way I do. They're people, and then, you just gotta be you. You gotta be humble, right?
Yes.
And if you come off as an arrogant ass, people they're gonna react to you. And if you say, if you come off as just, yeah, I messed up, I'll fix that. I'm just a guy here trying to help. That they react to that too. And it maybe that was where I started, and it just kind of became my personality. It's kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Right. I tend to think that way regardless of who the audience is. And I frankly wish I'd learned this years ago. I've said to my wife, and she looks at me like I'm from Mars, but other than my children and my marriage to my wife,
you're not the only one. Everybody that's thinking like this, their better half is thinking a different way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But other than her taking pity on me and marrying me, and other than my children, this is, the heart transplant was a big thing for me. It was a big switch. I was worried I was going to, as I'm laying there in the hospital, where they've already cut me open and they come in and they just literally rip the wires out of me, right? They had wires coming out of my chest where they use the wires to start the new heart. Wow. And they just come in and rip it out, and you're just like, okay, what's really important here, right?
Yes.
And on my tombstone, I don't want it to say he worked hard, he died, right? I want it to be he was a good father, he was a good mentor, he was a great husband, he was a good friend. And those are the things that I want to do. And, I got to make up for 40 years of trying to chase the almighty dollar. So,
well, the reason why I had Jerry stay on, because you kind of told us a little bit of that when we did the phone call last week, but I wanted Jerry to kind of really introduce herself to you, just to give you back your flowers. I don't know if you know Jerry's background, and I think based on what I've heard from you in the class, how the class responded to you, I don't want you to miss this one. So Jerry, if you don't mind, would you introduce yourself and a little bit of your background?
Oh my goodness. That's catching me off guard. I guess it's really
I got a hard stop here in 9 minutes too, by the way. Sorry to interrupt you, Jerry.
okay. Tell me when to
go.
No, I am very much interested. I said earlier today how I had a real between the last class and this one, and I am really glad that I came back and got in on this class because it was a much smoother flow. Last time I was in a crazy situation. My sister was very sick and I was back and forth, and so I just wasn't totally in there. But this time I really got to see it and understand what it is that we're going to do. And I told Chris that at the last class I came in, and I'm not sure how people get.
I think Jerry, I don't know if you
I
understand.
know what you said, but
Yeah,
it's
because we only got a short period of time, so I really want Chris to know who you are, not the
well,
class. Who are
oh,
you, and what's your background? Give him a little bit, like a 1.5 minute spiel.
Yeah, we've gone over nothing. My interest in this is that I do have a background. I've got a background. I've taught high school. I taught English, and I've been a writer. Then I went into journalism. I was a news reporter for the ABC affiliate in Minnesota, and then I've done a lot of facilitating, and so I got into private industry and did some things, and today a lot of what we were talking about applied to that in that I used to teach classes for a major corporation, minority group dynamics, which was um, teaching for um, the cultures, and then for one for women's studies within the corporation. So all of what we're doing, the whole ethics thing about um, the AI, really has gotten me, and so I'm very much interested in it and trying to determine how I'm going to proceed with that. Right now, since I've been in Michigan City, my background has been a director of nonprofit organizations, so I got into the nonprofit world. So that's um that's me in a nutshell. I've
That's
around
all I
here.
wanted to give them and let them know that that's the pool of folks you got coming from Midwest Indiana. So we're invested. So over the holidays, if we can have something real solid, going into this next cohort, along with your teachings and master's training, um, I don't think any of us are going to leave in there after that with empty hands. So that's what I wanted to put on your breast, sir, today.
Thank you.
Family, have a wonderful, wonderful, happy holidays.
Yes, yes, yes.
You too.
Enjoy it, and looking forward to working on my project. All right. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
See
Bye,
ya.
guys.
Bye.